Hi everyone, today I want to show you how to create these lovely floral clusters, not flusters, that you can create with the Florals Clear Stamp Set. As I have mentioned before, there are 22 pieces and they are sized differently, so in 3 different sizes: large, medium and small, which enables you to create a nicely filled floral cluster with different dimension to the flowers. And in essence, you can use the stamp set to create floral clusters as it is demonstrated here. You can also use these flower stamps on the face of the day. Let me just get this stamp set right here, so you can use them on the girl faces, or you can create individual kind of looking flowers or flower arrangements. And this is just to show you for the small. That's the that's what you can create with the small. So I have drawn on the vases of different colors and shapes, and because they're small, they're very quick to do, and then just build upon different shapes of the floral or the plant arrangements. So today I want to show you how to create a cluster like this. So there are a few rules to this, but it's really easy. Once you get going, it's really nothing too complicated. So for that, to start off, I will use my Illustrated Faith Bible mat, which I always like to use to prevent indentation on the page underneath, because these are very thin paper, and it's not as thin as the Moy River, but still you can create some indentation if you press hard later on. And this is the MD Cotton notebook. All the links are always provided below, so please have a look if you want to know what I'm using in this tutorial. Okay, so ignore that it says here floral mix. It's actually wrong. It's exactly the same stamp set as the florals, so it's just mine. I've been using it and the packaging is wrong here, so let's just trash it there. Okay, so what we're going to do first is you have to decide what kind of flowers you want to use. So for example, pick a few flowers from here which are different sizes. I find that if you pick different sizes, then it kind of really helps. So let's go for a few like this, and maybe the rose as well. They always look good when you pick different shapes of flowers, so that would be good. And then a couple of the fillers like these are good for filling and adding a little bit of a je ne sais quoi. And then these leaves, they are fantastic. I will show you that you can do so much with them. So look, we used about half of them and there is still plenty here to be used. So the next thing we're going to need is a very light colored ink and an ink block as well. Okay, so I've got a few of my acrylic blocks here, and it's good if you have a few small ones, because then you just can stick the images and then use them a multiple number of times if you need to, rather than sticking them back and forth. So I've got a few here. Okay, so to begin with, I'm just going to place them aside, and I'm going to start. I like to start with the biggest flower, and that's how I'm going to do. So here's my large flower. The ink I'm going to use is Tim Holtz Distress ink in Tattered Rose, which is a lovely kind of peachy flesh toned ink, and I find it stamps beautifully. So I'm going to go in with my hydrangea flower, and then I'm going to stamp it slightly off the middle of the page, because if you're going for the main flower and you stamp it right in the middle, it always will look a little bit odd. So go a little bit off the page, a bit up, down, just so that it's not in the middle. Now, the way I clean my stamps, if I'm using this ink, is just stamp it off. You can see that there is not much that comes off, and they're nice and clean, so there is no need to be doing anything else. The other thing, so I don't need this flower anymore, I know for sure. I just want one of those, so I can put it back in here, and then I will show you. Actually, at this point, to create the cluster, I need to create a mask, and I already done that somewhere here, so I'm just going to find my mask. Okay, so here it is. So I've got 2 masks, but I would really recommend you create 3 if you're working with a bigger size of the floral cluster. So now think about where you'd like to build this floral cluster, and go and stick the washi on the other side, so if that makes sense, I hope. Next thing we're going to do is look at these other sizes of the flowers. So we've got a few here. We have the rosebud, we have the open rose, a really small one. I would leave it to the last, and then kind of look at the sizes again and go for the second biggest, if that makes sense. So now I'm going to swap to a smaller acrylic block because the stamp is smaller, and I'm going to now overlap the image just a little bit. So look what happens. Then you end up with an image that is kind of looking under it, like that, so that we have the hydrangea in a focal point, if that makes sense. And then I could do the same somewhere else, like here, just rotate it slightly so you don't end up with the same shape of the image, and so that your stamp always looks new. So there you go, doesn't look identical. And then what you could do is you could actually do a third one. So for that you just need to move it slightly out, and I'm going to really just have it peeking out, so it's quite like this, quite far behind it. Okay, now again I'm going to clean off my stamp, and then I'm going to create, let's see, what's this? I think this is the mask for the large one. So at this point I need to quickly create a mask. Now how do I do that? To create the mask, I'm going to stamp this same flower that I need the mask for, and I'm going to stamp it on like a basic thin paper. I find that it works really well. And then I'm going to fussy cut this image. Always good to have a couple of masks on the go. It just makes things a lot faster, but for now I'm just going to use this one, and you do need a little bit of washi. Alright, so there's a little bit of washi, and now I'm going to find the shape of this rose, which is this one, and stick it into the middle, because I know I'm not going to do anything there anymore. So I'm going to rest this flower here, go on to the next one, and now, in fact, I might also need the mask for this one, for the hydrangea. So just put both of your masks there. And now you can do your stamping. Okay, always rotate the flower so it doesn't look identical. So basically it's getting nicely filled, but you don't have to do it filled. You can also do it so that it's I will show you in a minute. So let me do this one now. So this time I'm not going to overlap anything. I'm just going to show you how to connect things to the middle. So slightly different style to what I have here at the back when I showed you that image. Where is it now? So this one here, you can see they're not overlapping, they're just separately connected into the middle. So that's a little bit of a different style, but you can do so much with this. I'm thinking 2 or 3 as well. Let's do 3 again, the magic number of 3. And then let's lift this and see what we have here. So we have a lovely dense cluster over here with a few roses that are not connected. So I think I'm actually going to just add a few of these little ones which are going to kind of nest but not overlap anywhere here. Because they have 3 petals, you can always rotate them to fit the best into the shape like that. So we have 3 here, and I'm thinking maybe 1 more somewhere there or not. Okay, I'll keep it at 3 as well. Let's keep it at 3. And at this point I'm not entirely sure whether I want the greenery here as well or not. Well, let's see. I didn't use these ones, so let me show you how to also add a couple of these. Since we're at it, why not? So for these ones, these are great to also use as a building block. So I kind of feel like I want some height over here, and that's essentially what I'm going to create. I'm going to, you'll see what I will do later with this, but basically I can now swap to the other one and do a couple of them, maybe 1 more here. Okay, I think that should be enough. Actually, I want 1 here as well. Okay, so that should be enough. And then thinking what I need. Yeah, let's create a nice shape. So it's going to be really pretty. So this one is going here. So you can see I'm stamping it quite far away from the image, and I'll show you what it is that you can do with it. And then maybe I'll just connect this one here and create a bit more like a longer shape, which you can totally do like that. So you can see how you can build it quite easily, and even a little bit more on this side like so, and maybe actually 1 over here. So really I'm just kind of building it without paying too much attention, because I know I will connect everything together as I go. So this is becoming very pretty, and I think I really don't need leaves at this point because it's got a lot going on. So you can do as simple as you want or as complicated. It's just that I wanted to show you today 2 techniques in this one. Trying to find my favorite. Here we go. I love using this pen. Now it depends whether you want to use watercolors thereafter or not. So if you're using watercolors, this is the pen I would recommend, because it It is not only fine nib, but it also has waterproof ink. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to really relax and speed it up a little bit for you so that you don't fall asleep. And just line out everything except for the roses and these elements, which I want to show you how to do. So I'm just going to line out this middle part here. So I've lined it out. It's really therapeutic thing to do, and you could of course do exactly what I showed you, but with the like a black archival ink, and that way you don't need to do it. However, if you like, I mean, it depends what you prefer and how much time you have. If you have very little time, then go with the option that I just told you. If you prefer things to look hand-drawn, then this is more fun, I find, because it just gives me a little bit more work, and also I feel more engaged with the art that I'm creating like that. So now I am going to connect the external flowers to the cluster that I've just built. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Now also, when you're lining things out, you don't need to be exact, you don't need to be precise. Actually, I find that the more relaxed I am, the better it looks, because again, they don't end up looking identical. So I like to exaggerate certain lines even further. And what I'm doing is just connecting everything to the middle. So imagine the middle of the flower, or the flower arrangement is here. So I'm just putting everything into the middle. And these are quite simple. The other ones are a little bit more, they just take a little bit more time to figure out, but once you do, it's really easy. So what you're going to do now, so this one we already built, as you saw. I'm going to actually zoom in a little bit for you and switch off the autofocus so that it doesn't play around too much. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is quite simply, I'm going to connect this again to roughly the middle of this, and then I'm just going to line out all of these areas. What I like doing to make it look a bit more natural is also just thickening the line where it connects a little bit, like so, and a little bit here as well, and just in the ends a little too. So like this, and then I'm just going to really simply line them out. You can leave things as they are, or you can doodle inside. It really is up to you. Oops. They kind of look like little berries. I really like this one. And in these middle bits, again, relax your hand. You can add a few, you can make them bigger, smaller. Don't focus on tracing the exact image so that it looks more natural. So now you can see that it's really starting to look quite impressive. And obviously using the stamp set has saved you so much time in terms of, you know, doing it all yourself. So now I'm going to connect these as well. So this one is going to connect here. Like that. And then this one, let's see, I can actually connect it here too. Like that. Same thing here, just connect them a little bit, thicken them up just on the edges, on the ends like that. So this is the drawing part. Now, if you're not great at drawing, I think this should really help you. First of all, when you line someone else's artwork, you actually learn how to draw yourself, so it might improve your drawing skills. But also, it takes out that stress of needing to fill an empty page. And you just stamp whatever you feel like and then just connect it all together. So that's the idea of it. And now let's zoom out a little. And that looks pretty cool. So you could leave it like that. You could add some doodling. So inside I'm just going to doodle. You can make it more whimsical by have a bit more of a wiggled line, or you can make it more clean. It is really, really up to you what you do with it. Or you can also, of course, go in with watercolors. You can do with pencils, colored pencils, other mediums that you can think of, and just really have fun. That's why I have designed and created these, to really take out the guessing work for you and be able to create something quite impressive in your journal. I think the key is just relax when you're doing this. Relax and enjoy. And the fun thing is, you will never create the same thing. You'll always be able to move things around, rotate the stamps and add some doodling, and always make it look different and new. So there's this one flower which I can leave unconnected and kind of just there, or I could connect it. It's up to you, but I actually quite like as it is now. Okay, so this is it for today. From this point you can take watercolor, like I said, you can take all sorts of different mediums and run with it, but I just wanted to show you today how to build a beautiful floral arrangement and, you know, enjoy the process as you do. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching and have fun. Let me know in the comment box how you're getting on, and see you soon.